Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you a little bit about standing behind your choices. And I know I've touched on this topic a couple times before, but it's come up again with clients and with friends just in the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to make just another quick video about this. The core problem with making choices is that we don't have a thing to stand behind. If we give ourselves options, more than one, we end up diverting our attention and kind of picking the best of both worlds. And because we do that, we can't commit to either choice fully because neither choice will likely be perfect. And because of that, it becomes very hard to then fully commit ourselves and invest to it if we know that there's just another choice out there that has some of the positive aspects that we're leaving behind with the choice we make. Hopefully that makes sense. So the problem if we only have one choice, for instance, we don't have that problem. There's one choice, and for better or for worse, it is the choice we must make. Let's say, for instance, going to work in the morning. You may not consider that you have a second choice of not going to work, because to you that's not a viable option. You have to go to work, and you have to do this every morning. Now, even though you're tired, even though you're exhausted, you just don't have a choice. And so it becomes a little easier to stand up in the morning, to commit to that choice. Sure, you might complain, you might not like it, you might not enjoy it, but you will still go. And that's the key point to it. If you ever give yourself the option of standing up at the same time, for example, on a weekend, when you don't have to, it becomes much harder. And what most of us do is we don't commit to getting up early, but we don't commit to getting up late, and we end up regretting whichever one we end up doing. Because there's benefits to both that we're essentially leaving behind depending on what we choose. And this is the same kind of problem that we face with big life decisions as well. Do we move to a new place or not? Do we get a new job or not? Do we try to find a new partner or not? Do we try to keep the old partner and invest into the relationship? Do we try to improve ourselves or eat healthier or whatever the choice may be? As soon as there are more than one option, you compare. You compare the two. And that passively creates a third option. In your head, behind the scenes, there's the idea of, what if the best of both worlds exists out there? Maybe I shouldn't make a choice just yet because we never know. Maybe the golden opportunity is just around the corner. But we kind of all know that that doesn't happen. And in the hopes that that happens, we often procrastinate. We often avoid making a decision and end up pushing it further and further along. And usually, the situation doesn't get any better. There's a reason we contemplated making this choice, and in waiting, we just make that reason get bigger and larger and scarier and more negative. And it's mainly only because we want to avoid losing out on the positives of the other choice that we're not going to take. And we want to avoid committing to the negatives that the choice we do commit to brings. But the point is that that's exactly what moves life forward, and what gets rid of so much of your stress. Let's say, for example, that you wanted to work on a project, and you maybe wanted to work on a project for a long time. Maybe this is another way to make money outside of your current job. And you've had this in your head for a long time, and you wanted to pursue this, but you always kind of avoided making that choice. Because it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. You'd have to invest a lot of yourself into that choice. And if it doesn't work out, you're just wasting all the time. In the meantime, you could spend time with friends and wait because you might get a promotion or get extra pay or something else. And so you don't make a choice. You linger. But in your lingering, you're essentially betting, you're gambling on the fact that money will come to you some other way. And what ends up happening, it's not about which choice ends up being the best, but rather that you won't be able to fully commit to yourself and to the life you chose. Because let's say you don't commit to doing the work. In the back of your mind, there will be that voice that says, maybe we should. Is it really right to wait? You're just procrastinating. You're not doing everything right. And it just babbles on and babbles on and babbles on and talks and talks and talks. And you feel worse and worse and worse for not having made the other choice. However, same exact thing is true if you do make the choice. Maybe we should have just waited. Maybe it would have been better if we didn't, go for it. Maybe we could have saved a lot of time and money and friendships if we just didn't work on the side project. So you also feel bad. And the reason you do it is because you don't stand behind the choice you make, because you're still hoping for something better. You're not committing to the negatives. You're not committing to the positives. You're not committing. You're committing just enough to do it and keeping the back door open in case something better comes along. And this is why people struggle in their career, why people get stressed out, why they compare so much, why they feel like it's not everything, and why they struggle in their relationships, why they always look for something better passively, why they never feel truly happy, why they always think there's more out there. It's because when you keep the back door open, you just can't commit to what's in front of you. You're always looking in the rearview mirror, always looking behind yourself to see if something better has come along. And that prevents you from giving whatever's in front of you your all, because it would be harder to take everything back and go the other way. People don't commit to their careers because they hope that something better comes along. And in that sense, they end up in a self-fulfilling prophecy. Same as they do with their relationships. They don't commit fully to their partner because they hope they'll stumble upon the true love or the love that somebody else has, and so they don't invest into all the difficult discussions and arguments and conversations they should have. They don't invest into their work, into time with their partner, and basically just let things slide because they still hope. And that's not to say that hoping is bad, but it just ends up with this a self-fulfilling cycle. So let's say with a partner, you don't invest fully in a partner, right? You don't have those difficult conversations. You avoid them because it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of energy, and who knows if you're going to be with this person forever. Forever is a long time, and you don't know what's going to happen. So you just try to minimize the effort put in. You don't go on all these crazy dates. You don't learn your partner. You don't take therapy if you need to. You don't talk to a third person about it. You don't talk to them about it. You don't try to go inward yourself to then tell them more about what you want. You just try to make do. And in doing so, you never learn yourself or your partner. You never learn either really fully well. You never have fights and arguments that might make you stronger afterwards. And over time, this creates two people that know each other, but not truly. And you have two people that are invested in each other, but not come what may. It's just, they're just a convenience. They're a nice thing to have around. But if something better comes along, they'd go. And both people know this subconsciously and then invest even less. And once that cycle starts, it's usually not long before the relationship breaks apart. Now that may still happen if both people invest fully because they figure out, they're not made for each other or something else, but it becomes less likely. Because whatever you will end up showing that person is your true self. It's everything you've got. And that at least gives you a fighting chance. And it's the same in your career. If you don't invest fully in this job, if you keep thinking there's something better out there, you won't try to make this job better. I mean, why would you? You might end up leaving tomorrow. You might get them fired, you don't really like it, so this can't be your ever after, so you don't make it that. You get by and don't work on improving it. At the same time, you're very unlikely to look for a better job, but that's kind of a different point. The point here is that it's only when you invest in the choices that you make, only when you pick something, even if it's not perfect, and stand behind it, that your life can really improve. Because that's when you put in effort. It's when you try to make it work. You invest in your kids because you can't get rid of your kids. They're the choice that you must make. You invest in everything that you have to do. And more so when you realize that it's a lifetime thing. But even if it's not as big a decision as your career or your relationship, still try to pick a choice and stick with it. I want you to consider less options. Or even when you do, then to take those options and out of those options pick your best one and go with it. So that you avoid the problems of the self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of the stress that you have, a lot of the overthinking gets rid of you, take away the other choices. If you only have the choice to go to work, you will go to work. If you only have the choice to exercise, you will exercise. If you don't have another choice but to improve yourself, you will improve yourself. But as soon as you get a second choice, you contemplate, you compare, think about it, you reason your way out of it. And over time, you end up doing nothing in the hopes that a third option, a best of both worlds, comes along. And that's likely why you've been stuck. If you resonate with this, it's very likely that you've avoided making a choice for a while, and you feel worse and worse for not making it, but that also makes you want a third better option more and more to justify the wait. It's time to count your losses, take the negatives, and just go. Make the choice you know you should. Stand behind it and commit to it. Sure, it might be wrong, but it's better than not making a choice at all.